Lightning Lane is probably one of the most confusing parts of planning a Disney World trip right now. There are multiple options, there's lots of rules to go with it, and quite honestly, it's really easy to spend money and not be able to actually use it well. So in this video, I'm gonna break everything down for you so that it will make sense and to help you figure out if you even need it in the first place. Hi, I'm Haley. I'm a travel agent who specializes in Disney vacations, and I help families like you plan trips that are smooth, stress-free, and actually magical. And if you're looking for a simple cheat sheet to help you figure out what lightning lanes you need to prioritize, if you need it or not, then you can check the link down below in the description box, or you can scan this QR code for your own free complimentary lightning lane guide. Now let's go ahead and jump into it all. Grab a drink, grab a pen, get your guide, and let's get into it. First and foremost, we need to talk about what has changed. So Disney has a skip the line service. Skip the line, we say that very lightly. It originally started as Fast Pass, and then it changed to Genie Plus. We got rid of Genie Plus, and now we have just what we call Lightning Lane. There are 3 tiers of Lightning Lanes. You can purchase some of them, all of them, a mix and match, whatever you need. There is Lightning Lane Multi-Pass, Lightning Lane Single Pass, and Lightning Lane Premier Pass. And no, you do not have to have all of them to have a good Disney vacation. I'm just gonna pause to say, because so many people have this misconception, while Lightning Lane is described as a pay to skip this line service, you are not guaranteed to just go straight onto the ride. You might have to wait a little bit. It just depends on how things go. So basically what Disney is promising is that by using Lightning Lane, you will get to skip the standby line, which will then decrease your actual wait for the line. Also, this is a common misconception that you can use Lightning Lane and it's guaranteed that you're gonna be able to ride every single ride that there is in the park. While you can strategize and be able to more than likely use your multi-pass to ride every single ride in the park, it is not guaranteed that you will get to ride everything, especially during those busier seasons. What Disney does guarantee is that you will get to ride 3 rides, and those are the first 3 that you book. So do with that as you want. You can definitely ride way more than 3 rides. Just keep that in mind. So let's talk about what each one actually is. First is going to be the most common one, which is Lightning Lane Multi-Pass. So Lightning Lane Multi-Pass is going to be your most similar to Fast Pass, Genie Plus, those previous services. This is where you can book majority of the rides in a park, and you will reserve a time slot to be able to go back at a later time to ride that ride, and therefore skipping the standby line. With multi-pass, you can book multiple rides throughout the day. You can hold 3 at a time, and this does allow you to skip the standby line. This is the one that most people go with. You get the most bang with your buck because you can get more than 3 rides if you use it properly. With single pass, this is going to allow you to skip the line for typically the newest and the most popular rides in the park. Lightning Lane Single Pass is going to be for individual high demand rides. So think about the most popular, most in demand rides in each park. These are not included in multi-pass, so you're going to have to buy them separately. You can purchase a single pass without even purchasing multi-pass, or if you purchase multi-pass and you still want to ride the single pass rides, you can buy that in addition to multi-pass. You have Premier Pass, which is going to be Disney's newest skip the line pass. This is their premier or most expensive one. This is going to allow you to ride every multi-pass and single pass ride in one park without having to make a reservation or anything like that. This is going to allow the most flexibility when it comes to riding rides and being able to use your Lightning Lane. Most people do not find Premier Pass to be a necessary cost. It's more so if you want a more VIP kind of vibe to your vacation. And probably the most pressing question is, do you actually need to purchase Lightning Lane in any capacity? Please, please, please keep in mind that you can still have a great Disney vacation without spending the money on Lightning Lanes. They are a luxury. You do not have to have them. Your trip is not going to be run if you are not able to purchase or reserve a Lightning Lane pass. So just keep that in mind. If you are looking at purchasing Lightning Lane, it is going to be worth it for those who are traveling during a busy time, those who have a shorter trip, or if you want to ride rides without waiting in line, whether that's a really long line or maybe not so long ride. If you want to prioritize rides, then I would recommend getting Lightning Lane. You might want to skip purchasing it if you're going during a slower time. You have multiple park days, so you're going to be able to visit the different parks multiple times during your trip if you don't mind standing in line, or if rides just aren't a big priority for you. But with anything, it is not about doing everything that Disney has to offer because that's impossible to do in one day. It's more about deciding what is actually worth your time. Here are the biggest mistakes that I see people make when it comes to lightning lanes. Number one is buying it for every single park without a strategy. I don't think you need to purchase lightning lane for every single park if you have a good strategy. While some parks you definitely need it if you want to ride rides, other parks you don't necessarily have to have it. Another mistake is not booking early enough in the day. And the third one is using lightning lanes on lower priority rides and then missing out on those high priority rides because they can sell out. It is also important to note that lightning lanes can sell out, especially those popular rides. We're looking at you, Slinky Dog Dash, Rise of the Resistance. So if a more popular ride is a priority, you want to make sure that you snag it as soon as possible. When it comes to the basics of booking lightning lane, if you are staying on Disney property, then you can book your lightning lanes up to 7 days in advance. If you are not staying on Disney property, then you can start booking your first lightning lanes up to 3 days in advance. What you would do is you would hop on the My Disney Experience app, and then there will be a lightning lane section. When you click on this, you will see the days that you are able to purchase lightning lane for, and you will click on the day that you want to purchase it. Now, you can purchase it for your entire trip. There's an exception if you are doing a split stay because then your window will not be for that entire trip. It will just start with your split stay, but we can get into that later. For Lightning Lane, you are going to have to get on your phone and you're going to need to make sure that you have the My Disney Experience app. It is going to be your best friend to get that account set up, get logged on, and to kind of play around before actually going on your Disney vacation. That way you're not like panicking and trying to search for things while you're there. You'll be a pro and be able to handle it all. But what you're going to do is when you log on to your My Disney Experience app, it will be like one of the first boxes will say Lightning Lane, Multi-Pass, or Single Pass, or you can do Premier Pass. You will click on Purchase, and then you will see the dates that are available for you to purchase. You will then be able to choose the park of your choice. With Multi-Pass, you can purchase it for the first park you're going to start in, and then after you scan in and you use your first pass, that will open it up to your other parks. So let's say that you start your day in Hollywood Studios, you will make your first 3 selections for your Hollywood Studios ride. As soon as you tap into your first Lightning Lane, that will open up all the rides and you can make a selection at any of the other 3 Disney parks. So multi-pass, you can use it in multiple parks. You're going to select the park that you want, and then that will give you the option to purchase your multi-pass as well as any of your single passes. Now, when it comes to pricing for multi-pass, single pass, premier pass, it is dynamic pricing. So that means that it is going to fluctuate. Your pricing is based on the park and the time you're going. If you're going during a busier time, then the price is going to be higher than if you are going during an off-season or not so busy time. Also, parks, Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios are going to be the higher price parks, whereas Epcot and Animal Kingdom are going to be your lower price parks. So you're going to click on, if you want to do a single pass, you can do that, or your multi-pass, and then you are going to select everybody in your party who is eligible. And the good thing is you can see the price, but you don't actually purchase it until after you make your first 3 ride selections. So if there is something that is a priority for you, it's make or break, and it's not available, you can make the choice not to purchase Lightning Lane for that day. Now, when it comes to Lightning Lanes multi-pass, they are in a tiered system. Oh, you have tier 1s, which are going to be your more popular rides, and then you have tier 2, which are your less popular rides. When you make your first 3 selections, you can select 1 ride from tier 1 and then 2 rides from tier 2. Or if you want, you can do all 3 tier 2. Now, this is going to be for everything except for Animal Kingdom as of now. Animal Kingdom, everything is in the same tier, so you don't have to worry about that. Now, those tiers go away once you scan into your first ride. So once you scan in, you can then book any multi-pass ride regardless of what tier it is. So for this, if we're looking at Lightning Lane, you can see that your tier 1 rides are going to be Jungle Cruise, Peter Pan's Flight, Space Mountain, and Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Out of these 4, Tiana's is going to be the one that goes the quickest. I will also say that Tiana's is the one that is going to more than likely shut down the most. If Tiana's is a priority for you, then I would go ahead and book that first. After that, it just kind of depends on what your vibe is. After that, if Peter Pan flight is a priority for you, I would book that one if you are not doing Tiana's, because that one is going to sell out the most. So typically you can get a Jungle Cruise or a Space Mountain Lightning Lane pretty easily throughout the day. Then you would select your other two rides from your tier 1 rides. For Magic Kingdom, that includes the Barnstormer, Dumbo the Flying Elephant, Haunted Mansion, It's a Small World, Mad Tea Party, Magic Carpets of Aladdin, The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, Mickey's PhilharMagic, Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, Pirates of the Caribbean, Tomorrowland Speedway, Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid, and then Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger Spin. For these, pretty much all of them are going to more or less be available at some point during the day. I would say you would want to prioritize Pirates, Haunted Mansion, and then Winnie the Pooh. All of the other ones, you can snag them up pretty much at any point. What I wouldn't necessarily recommend using them on are going to be the shows. So this would include like Mickey's PhilharMagic or Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, because those are going to be on a rotation. So like, for example, Mickey's PhilharMagic is going to be a 15-minute show. So that wait time, for the most part, unless it's super busy, is always going to be 15 minutes, because you just have to wait for the current show to release before you get in, and it has higher capacity. So it's normally able to fit just about everybody, again, unless it's a super busy time. So I wouldn't necessarily waste it on those, because you're pretty much going to be waiting the same amount of time whether you have a lightning lane or not. So you would select those 3 rides, and then it would take you to the payment screen. And then this is where you can see your times. Now, when you are making your first selections first thing in the morning, I wouldn't pay too much attention to the times that it gives you, because you can always modify these later. You can modify them as soon as you purchase them. You can modify them while you're in the park. So I wouldn't waste your time modifying them before you pay, simply because reservation times can sell out. So especially if it's a high demand ride, if let's say you got a 10:20 a.m. Slinky Dog Dash, by the time you check out, that time might sell out and you might get kicked back to a later one. So if you're wasting time trying to modify to find the perfect time, you could lose out on the Lightning Pass altogether. So just go ahead and purchase it, and then you can always modify it later. Once you have your times, you would hit continue, and then you would pay for it. The single pass rides for Magic Kingdom are going to include the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train and then Tron. If we're looking at Hollywood Studios, then this is the second park with the most popular rides. Their single pass ride is going to be Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. This is another one that does close often due to just ride malfunctions. However, they're getting a little bit better with that, I think. For the Hollywood Studios Lightning Lane selections, your tier 1 rides are going to include Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, Millennium Falcon's Smuggler's Run, and then Slinky Dog Dash. For your strategy for tier 1, if Slinky Dog Dash is a priority for you, that would be my first choice, because very rarely do lightning lanes become available for that. Hi, Editing Haley here. I just wanted to pop in real quick. At the time of filming, Rock and Roller Coaster featuring the Muppets had not opened yet. So this does change the lightning lane strategy just a little bit, because that would be a top priority. I would say either Slinky Dog Dash or Rock and Roller Coaster if that is something that you're into, but I would definitely put Rock and Roller Coaster over Mickey and Minnie's, especially because it recently opened, so it's going to be a lot more popular. All right, so I'm going to send you back to Lightning Lane planning. If you're not into Slinky Dog Dash, then I would do Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, with Millennium Falcon's Smuggler's Run being my absolute last choice, because you can normally always find a Lightning Lane for that at just about any point in the day. Mickey and Minnie's will run out, but it is typically later in the evening. Slinky Dogs will run out just about instantly. Now for Hollywood Studios, their tier 2 rides include Aliens Swirling Saucer, Saucers, Beauty and the Beast live on stage, For the First Time in Forever, a Frozen sing-along celebration, Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, The Little Mermaid, a new musical adventure, Star Tours, The Adventure Continues, Toy Story Mania, and Tower of Terror. When it comes to your Tier 2 lightning lanes, I would recommend booking Toy Story Mania and then Tower of Terror if that is your thing to drop from like 99 feet. I love it, but it's not always somebody's choice. Star Tours is normally always a walk-on even without lightning lane, but you're going to be able to find those late into the evening. Same thing with Alien Swirling Saucers. The other ones are up to you. They are a stage show. Probably out of the stage shows that would be Beauty and the Beast, Frozen Sing-Along, Indiana Jones, and The Little Mermaid. I would maybe say The Little Mermaid just because it is a newer show, so it is a little bit more popular while people are still seeing it for the first time. After that, like Indiana Jones, Frozen, they all have high capacities, so it would just be if you are really interested in doing that and like not having to wait and potentially that close out, then I would pick those. But definitely you want to get Toy Story Mania. That will get snatched up very quickly, and then Tower of Terror. For Epcot, their single pass is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. 10 out of 10. Recommend this ride. It's one of my favorite rides, and I always buy it the single pass multiple times if I can for a trip. Now for Epcot's lightning lanes, your tier 1s are going to include Frozen Ever After, Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, and then Test Track. Now, the unfortunate part is that these are going to be the most popular rides and the hardest to get. I would say Frozen and Remy, you're gonna have to pick between the two. Because it's very rare that those lightning lanes come up again. My strategy would be pick the priority. If you're a Frozen person, pick Frozen. If you're a Ratatouille person, pick Ratatouille. Typically, I always pick Ratatouille and then rope drop the other one. If you are staying at any of these Skyliner resorts or Yacht and Beach Club or Boardwalk, you are going to enter through International Gateway, which is right there by Remy's. So it is easier for you to rope drop Remy's. So if you are staying at any of those resorts, so that would include Pop Century, Art of Animation, Caribbean Beach, Riviera, or the Epcot area resorts, which are Yacht and Beach Club and the Boardwalk, then I would do maybe a lightning lane for Frozen and then plan to rope drop Remy's, because you will be one of the first people to be able to stand in that line as opposed to everybody else who would be coming from the front. You can beat them. And then for your tier 2 rides at Epcot, this includes the Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, Journey into Imagination with Figment, Living with the Land, Mission Space, The Seas with Nemo and Friends, Soarin' Around the World, Spaceship Earth, and Turtle Talk with Crush. My priority would be Soarin', because that one is more likely to sell out. After that, it's kind of a toss-up. Spaceship Earth can get higher wait times just because it's one of the first rides and it's the icon ride. Mission Space, that one can be iffy, but that one's a fairly popular one. And then Living with the Land, I know that my fiance would say that you should prioritize that first, but typically you can walk onto Figment. There will always be a lightning lane for Figment. Same thing with the Seas with Nemo and Friends. Those are very easy to get. Living with the Land is also easy to get. The only thing is if you are going during Christmas time, they do like a Christmas overlay with lights and it becomes like the glimmering greenhouse or something like that. That one can book up fast. Disney and Pixar Short Film Festival, it's another show. It's not super popular, so that would be one to just like walk in unless you want to use it. Kind of same thing with Turtle Talk with Crush. You like interact with Crush, but it is a show. So I would say if you are doing Lightning Lane, it is for Frozen, Remy, or Test Track. And last but not least is going to be your lightning lane for Animal Kingdom. So the single pass for Animal Kingdom is going to be Avatar Flight of Passage. This is similar to if you've ridden Soarin' before. You're on the back of a Banshee. It's kind of like a motorcycle style seating, and then there is a screen and you move with it. Now, as of right now, Animal Kingdom has the least amount of rides. In general, I had the least amount of rides, but now that they're like refurbishing, there's even less rides than before. Would I pay $30? Okay, I am looking at this right now, like during spring break season, $32 for Animal Kingdom. Normally it's like $16, $18. I would never pay $32 for Animal Kingdom. But with Animal Kingdom, there are no tiers. they're all on the same level, so that's good. But for the Lightning Lane multi-pass rides, as of now, again, Animal Kingdom has a lot that they're going to be doing, so this is going to change, and they're going to have some more popular rides. But their rides include Expedition Everest, Feathered Friends in Flight, Festival of the Lion King, Finding Nemo, The Big Blue and Beyond, Cali River Rapids, Kilimanjaro Safaris, Navi River Journey, and then Zootopia Better Together. What I would recommend your priority would be Navi River Journey, Kilimanjaro Safaris, and then if you're into roller coasters, then I would say Expedition Everest. If you're not, then Festival of the Lion King. Feather Friends in Flight, I do not think you need a Lightning Lane for. Everest, if you're not able to get it, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, but they also have a single rider line, and that makes things go faster. Festival of the Lion King is a more popular one. Same thing with the Finding Nemo show. That's actually a fairly popular one. Cali River Rapids, it's like a water ride where you're going to get soaked. So that just depends if you want to get soaked. And then maybe the Zootopia one, it is a newer show, so that's probably why it used to be Bug's Life is Tough to Be a Bug, and there was no problem walking onto that. But just because this is new, it's probably going to be more popular. So if Zootopia is a priority, make sure I book that sooner than later. But definitely for Animal Kingdom, Navi River Journey, Kilimanjaro Safaris, and then Expedition Everest if you're into that. If you're not, then Festival of the Lion King. So when it comes time to actually book your Lightning Lanes, again, if you are staying on property, you can book your Lightning Lanes 7 days in advance. If you're not on property, then you can book your Lightning Lanes 3 days in advance. And this is going to open up at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. When it comes to creating your strategy, you're going to want to figure out, first of all, what are your priorities here? What rides you're going to want to ride at what park? And then go from there. So you're going to want to pick your parks. You want to book early. So you come up with your priorities, you book those rides, and then you are good until it is time to actually go into the parks and use your Lightning Lanes. When you're booking them, I would suggest booking a ride as soon as possible, first one that you can get, or modifying it to an earlier time, because as soon as you scan in, you can then start booking your next selection. And if you wait, there is a better chance of the rides that you want to be sold out, and you don't want to do that. Now, there is one strategy that you can do, which is like do a throwaway ride, like booking the teacups or something like that, because there's going to be plenty available, and normally you can get a very early ride with that. Up to you if you want to potentially gamble on maybe losing out on a more popular ride just to try that strategy. Up to you. But after you tap in, then you want to go into your app and you want to schedule your next Lightning Lane selection. If you wait, you do risk some being sold out. You can only hold 3 Lightning Lanes at one time. So once you book one ride, then you can book another one, and then you have to use the second one, and then you can book a second one, and once you use your third one, and it just goes on like that. There is a little secret rule. Normally when you book your Lightning Lane, you are given like an hour window. So let's say you can redeem your Lightning Lane anytime from 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Typically, you can scan in your Lightning Lane a little bit early and a little bit later. I think it's like 5 or 15 minutes before, 5 or 15 minutes after. Now, what we have discovered is that you can really scan into your Lightning Lane up to like 3 hours after that time. And it will turn green. The only issue that I had with this is one time with Cosmic Rewind, we had missed our Lightning Lane because we were doing a DVC presentation. And when we came back, we would have scanned in right before that 3 hour mark, but right when we made it to the gates to scan in, the ride had closed and it was like down for a while. So we did try again later and ended up being like 4 or 5 hours after the end of our original Lightning Lane. And it turned blue, it did not turn green, but they still let us in. And the cast member was just like, "You're a little late." And we were just like, "Thank you so much." And they still let us in. That's not guaranteed, but we have scanned in past that 15-minute aftermark and it has still turned green. Also, it's important to book as early as possible because once you scan in, if you have a park hopper ticket or like an annual pass or something where you're going to be visiting different parks, and then reserve a ride and snag a lightning lane for a ride at another park. So let's say that you start out at Magic Kingdom and then you plan on going to Epcot in that evening. If you want, you can scan into your Magic Kingdom lightning lane and then you can start making reservations later in the day for Epcot. So again, you want to book early, scan in early so you can really maximize your lightning lane multi-pass. When it comes to single pass, again, you're just purchasing one ride. It doesn't matter if you have multi-pass or not. With single pass, you can hold up to 2 single passes per day, and it could be from any park. So you can have one Magic Kingdom single pass and one Epcot single pass, or an Epcot and a Hollywood Studios single pass, or you can have both of the single passes in Magic Kingdom. That doesn't matter, but you can only hold 2 at one time. So we want to prioritize our rides, we want to book early, and then we want to make sure that we are not overbooking our day. The downside to kind of using lightning lane is it's not always based on where you are at the park. So based on priority, strategy, all of that, you could be doing a lot of back and forth and up and down and all around. If you focus on just doing lightning lanes in the area that you are in, then you might lose out on some other more popular rides that are in other areas. But you do want to make sure that you don't overbook yourself. You can always modify if you want an earlier time for a lightning lane, or let's say you have one for 1 o'clock, but you decide you might want to go back to the resort and take a break. You can go in and modify it and then have it for a time that is later in the evening, and you can keep pushing it back. But you do not want to overbook and do too much at one time where you're constantly like going on all sides of the park within like an hour. The whole purpose of lightning lane is to make your vacation easier and more enjoyable, so you don't want to like stress yourself out over it because that just defeats the purpose. If you want this all mapped out for you, I did create a little lightning lane cheat sheet that is going to map out everything for you, what is worth it, when to use what, when to prioritize things. You can download it down below, you can check out the QR code, and this will just make your planning process a whole lot easier. And if you're planning a trip, let me know in the comments, do you think you're going to be using lightning lane, or are you still on the fence? Do you think it's worth it? Let me know in the comments down below because I'm so interested to see what everybody's thoughts are on lightning lanes. That is all for lightning lanes. If you have any other questions, make sure that you put them down below and I'd be more than happy to answer them. You can also check out my socials, grab that lightning lane guide, and don't forget to subscribe for more Disney planning trips. I will see you in my next video. Bye.